Let's go to the right.
Cool, alrighty. So, before we finish going to the right, I just realized, we need to backtrack for just a second. And come look at this overlook. So I did absolutely copy-paste this bridge again, because I was not going to rebuild it. But, we come over to this, kind of food and viewing platform. It's not... None of the architecture is particularly detailed. Honestly, it wasn't really the focus. But, I think this one looks okay, considering it's fairly plain. But, I do need to get your opinion, because these are my favorite. What do you think?
I just think of that video of the really round, fat animals.
Yes! The ones with, like, the giraffes rolling across the countryside.
Yeah.
Yes, same. These are my favorite statues in the entire game. I love them. And, like, if I have an excuse to use them, I absolutely will. This one was fun. And then building the little tiny barn for him.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. So, anyway, I did end up finally adding rails to this so it's no longer a danger. And we get a peek of the Przewalski's horse. If you've been down that path, then you've already seen them. If you haven't been down that path, this is a nice little sneak peek. So, and then of course we have the Name Me Please in the viewing area down here to the moose. It's a little dangerous to look down here at the beavers, but like you can see them. And then, I don't think you can really see the bears from this, can you? I mean, not kind of. There's one. Oh goodness, don't hang your kids over the banister, my goodness. That would be deadly. Oh yeah, and then this, we didn't talk about the rocks. Do you have any opinions about these?
I really like the color.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was hoping for like a turquoise, and then they glow at night. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I love adding those little like fantasy aspects whenever I can. And like that's the glowing rocks or whatever. That's actually the reason I bought the aquatic pack. The animals are cool. Don't get me wrong. They're neat. I do like them. But I bought it so that way I could make big giant crystals like shooting out of everything. that was the impetus. Anyway, so we're gonna come down here and we're gonna visit our Eurasian lynxes. So the Eurasian lynx, this is obviously our stand-in for either the Canadian lynx or the bobcat. I believe bobcat is just a colloquial term for lynx in our area. Oh my goodness, they're super cute. Normally when I build for the Eurasian lynx and like earnestly, I build them a castle. I did not. It didn't seem appropriate here, so I didn't do that. And again, all of our cats, every time we visit them, are having a nap. Just the most cat thing you can be doing right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so anyway, I think we only have the one. He's in this little enclosure. But I wanted to add either Canadian lynx or bobcats. And I don't imagine that they're going to add them to the game because literally they are so similar to each other on visual appearance that like it would feel cheap and a little redundant. So I get why they won't. But they're not at all the same animals. Not even a little bit. Like definitely the same species, kinda, or like the same general species, but very, very different creatures, different lifestyles, different habitats, different biomes completely. So I don't know. It's one of these things where like I get it with the deer and the lynx. They need something to represent Europe. So I'm not gonna like ask that they like swap them out or anything. But I don't know. It's a little bit disappointing that we don't get something for our neck of the woods as far as like our big cats and dogs. Over here we have the doll sheep, which I'll be completely honest, I have not heard from anybody that this is their favorite animal in the game. They do look very good. They're pretty accurate. But I wish that we had more sheep and goats and things like that. Like I mentioned earlier, I want bighorn, I want muskox. I don't know, it just feels like they're weirdly underrepresented, considering how many of them live in zoos. I don't know. Did you... were these guys also a bit too north for you?
Well, we have mountain goats in southeast Alaska.
Okay, alright. So there are definitely some. Yeah, well, let's check the Zoopedia, because I'm trying to remember where all they live exactly. Let me just clear our filters. Dull sheep. There we go. So yeah, it looks like... Okay, so it looks like they're kind of in this region. So that's not really where you're at, though.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. It's elsewhere, but still, kind of cool. It is really nice to have them in the game at the very least, but like I said, I wish that they were better represented. And then we ended up having to go for like a normal game barrier through here because it was just... I mean, look at this terrain. It's awful. It's terrible. I don't know why I assigned myself this. But I mean, they stay in at least, so there's that. I don't know, do you have any notes?
No.
No? Yeah, okay. Let's move on to something more interesting. Over here is the zoo entrance that we actually properly built. Yeah, so we've got the high water pass sign, and again, this is not decorated at all on the inside. I added these little statues, just to add like a little bit of flair coming in and out. But like, again, it's just it's a gigantic warehouse, and I am not changing a thing about it because I hate doing interiors. I had to do a whole bunch of interiors for when I did Raccoon Punk 2077 and for the Garials, so I've gotten more practice since I built that, but like, it was not great. Anyway, so this is the end of this route. Yes, I'm fully aware that I spelled this wrong. Yeah. You were kind enough to point that out to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's not changing. Let's move forward. So at this point, we can go back over to the Mexican section, or we can have a look upstairs a little bit. But before we make that decision, I do want to point out the raccoons and the skunks. This was a kind of a last minute, oh wow, those are in the game and we have to add them kind of animal. These are both like all over North America, like inescapable.
I've actually never seen a raccoon before.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, down here they're like... Well, I mean, like, you don't really see them in the neighborhood, but most of them try and keep themselves hidden. Mm-hmm. We have a ton of possums, which I'm actually a little bit surprised that possums didn't make it in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, if you go out just a little bit farther into the woods, they're everywhere. They get into your trash bins. They're ridiculous little creatures. And then we've got skunks too. We've got skunks too, but I mean, like, we never see them, but we smell them, you know, because unfortunately they tend to get hit on the side of the highway a lot, and there's nothing you can do about it, and then you'll just be driving down the road and you're like, oh wow, either somebody's smoking something real good, or nope, never mind, I know exactly what that is. So, yeah, and they did cause me a little bit of problems. It didn't stay in. I came back into the zoo. Did I tell you about this? I came back into the zoo and they were like...
You said something about a raccoon explosion.
Yeah. There were like 100 raccoons and 100 skunks crammed into this little spot. I don't know what happened. I just logged in and they'd literally...
They multiplied?
Easily multiplied. But by like a factor of 100. Yeah, it was terrible. And then down here we've got our prairie dogs, which pop into their little holes. They're so cute. Have you gotten to see a prairie dog in real life?
No, I have not.
Okay, I haven't. I don't think I have either. But I know up in like Montana, North Dakota, that area, It's like my dad's half of the family grew up in that direction. Like, we've been everywhere. But yeah, my dad's half of the family briefly attempted to farm in Montana. I say briefly. They were there for like 15 years. The family had been there for like 100. And there, if you talk to that side of the family, there is a hatred for prairie dogs. Because they eat all of your crops. They have horrible diseases. They're not good neighbors. But they're very interesting. They're like our version of a meerkat, almost. And then, did you get to see any of the stuff that I posted about the research that they're doing into groundhog squeaks?
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, it's cool. So the TLDR is that basically it started with the University of Arizona, and then there's a whole bunch of other professors.
Mm-hmm.
But they started to map gopher and groundhog squeaks to figure out like if they actually meant anything and how they were communicating danger to each other. And then they discovered that it was infinitely more complicated and that they were affecting it.
Huh.
Yeah, and like they have a bank of like 1,000 different squeaks and noises that they have, and like all of them mean something.
Weird.
Yeah, but they have to like, I know they have to like slow it down because they happen so fast that like we can't really process that there's a difference until you slow it down. And like apparently they have a differentiation between different kinds of carnivores. They can tell like different colors apart. Yeah, and like I don't know, which I wonder if based on the research they've done to figure out which colors they can and can't see, or at the very least have squeaks for, if that might help our research into like cones and rods.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I know figuring out what colors animals can see is like a whole branch of science. But like if the gophers have words, for lack of a better word, for languages, makes me wonder if like we can figure out what colors they can see, and then we can cross it with the knowledge we have about their rods and cones, and figure out like what it is they're seeing, you know, or like how much we're projecting or miscommunicating with them, like depending on like they have a squeak for this, but they don't have the like they have a squeak for blue, but they don't have the cones for blue or something like that.
Yeah.
Which possibly, right? I'm not saying that they can't see blue. I'm saying possibly. So like we interpret that squeak for blue, but then they don't actually have the cones.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know, or like, you know, if they don't have the cones for it, or the rods for it, but there's like some other part of the eye that's perceiving colors that doesn't have anything to do with our structures. I don't know. I think it would be cool. Anyway, before we hover any longer here, would you like to go back to the Mexican area, or would you like to go up towards our Southeast Asia section?